This week, Bungie let us know the changes coming to some of our favourite exotic weapons. Now we've got a whole load of buffs and nerfs coming in the final shape, including major changes to Divinity, Osteo Striga and Lament. Well, today, I'm going to run through all the key changes to exotic weapons coming in Destiny 2, the final shape. Without further delay, let's dive into the update from Bungie. So first of all, we have Divinity. Divinity's ability to bypass combatant gameplay by generating a weak spot on command has too high an uptime as it stands, particularly with a trigger feathering. Now, we're not going to change the effective cage or how the feathering works, but we are increasing how long it takes to generate the cage. That's going to make it less ammo efficient and less useful against targets that break aim frequently. So in terms of the changes, they're going to increase the number of shots required to generate the cage by 75% against combatants, although PvP is unchanged. Next up, we got a minor change to Rat King. So Rat King's firing animation makes the weapon hard to control at a high rate of fire, so they have updated it. They swapped the firing animation to the same one used by other auto-fire sidearms. Next up, we got Devil's Ruin. So Devil's Ruin could be made to apply its firing animation to other equipped sidearms, and they fixed an issue where the firing animation for Devil's Ruin would get applied to other equipped sidearms if the weapon was swapped during the firing animation. Next up, we have Symmetry. So Symmetry needed a little attention, particularly its reload speed and handling, so we took this opportunity to increase those via the Catalyst. So the Catalyst now provides plus 10 reload speed, plus 10 handling, and the Eddy Current perk in addition to its existing effects. Next up, we got Galahorn. So Galahorn's Wolfpack rounds always look like arc projectiles regardless of the weapon's actual damage type. So they've updated the visuals of the Wolfpack rounds to match the damage type of the weapon. For example, on Galahorn, they will use solar effects. On the Royal Entry Void Rocket Launcher buffed by Galahorn, they will have void effects. Next up, we got the Touch of Malice. So Touch of Malice's burn from the Darkness Ball didn't last long enough to be useful in PvE, and increased the duration of the burn applied by the Darkness Ball against combatants from 2 to 3.5 seconds. Next up, we've got a fan favourite with Osteo Striga, so this one is probably going to sting. So Osteo Striga made it too easy to spread poison across the whole encounter to make a couple of kills from weak combatants. So now it has a 4-second cooldown on the poison burst for kills, and poison burst from sustained damage doesn't receive this cooldown. Next up, we have Necrochasm. So Necrochasm's Ag Clear roll wasn't as strong as we'd like it to be, so we've buffed it and replaced the Outlaw perk on the Catalyst with a new custom perk that leans into the roll. Intrinsic perk now provides an increased reload speed after precision kills, and increased the duration of burn applied by the Cursed Thrall explosion against combatants from 2 to 3.5 seconds. The Catalyst has been entirely rebuilt. And then we got the perk 1 for Thrall. So damaging 3 combatants in quick succession provides a period of increased damage, range, and aim assist. So if you haven't got the Necrochasm, now might be a very, very good time to get it. But next up, we have the Lament. So while the Lament's damage is roughly equivalent to other swords, the healing on hit largely removes the intended downside of the sword for boss DPS, and the chained heavy attack was too strong. So they've reduced the healing effect by 20%. And while this weapon does inherit the 7% global buff to swords, we've reduced the damage of the high end of the chain heavy attack by 20% from that point. This means combos at lower stacks are less affected by the change than combos at higher stacks. Well, this video is brought to you by Endgame Express Backstage. So this is available through Patreon or YouTube membership, and you'll get exclusive benefits, plus also you'll be able to go above and beyond and support Endgame Express. So free content is core to Endgame Express, and you can continue to enjoy these videos that you know and love. However, if you want to enjoy exclusive benefits like early access to content, access to our community Discord, shoutouts in the credits of videos, content polls, and also exclusive videos, well, you can join up to Patreon and also YouTube membership today. All you need to do is select the tier that is right for you and join Endgame Express Backstage. You can help support Endgame Express be bigger and better, plus you'll get the added benefits just for a small fee every month. Well, thank you so much for listening. Now it's time to go back to the video. Next up, we got Dead Man's Tale. So Dead Man's Tale Rapid Fire Hip Fire Fantasy isn't landing as well as we'd like. So we bumped up the rate of fire and added a bit of stability to Cranial Spike to make this easier to control. At the same time, its strength is skewed a little high on the mouse and keyboard, a little low on controller, so we've tuned accuracy and magnetism, the controller reticle friction, to address this. So baseline, Cranial Spike stacks now grant stability in addition to aim assist, stat and range, and that is 2 per stack. Increase the reload speed benefit of Cranial Spike stacks. So with the catalyst, when hip firing, you get slightly reduced accuracy benefits, you get increased magnetism fall off scale, very slightly, 1.6 to 1.7. Increase the baseline rate of fire from 130 to 140 RPM, and remove the PvE only damage buff that scaled with stacks of Cranial Spike and added a 15% damage bonus at maximum stacks of Cranial Spike. Next up we got the Colony. So the Colony's fancy of spawning self-replicating insectoid robots is something we wanted to juice for a while. This update allows the Colony to deal with waves of combatants in a very unique way. So it now spawns additional insectoid robots on final blows, and more robots, up to 5, spawn from tougher combatants. So that one is definitely one to look out for when this update goes live in the final shape. Next up we have Truth, the exotic rocket launcher. So Truth has fallen far behind other exotic rocket launchers, largely due to its lackluster damage. Wanted to lean further into the total rocket count. So increase the area of effect damage such that it doesn't lose noticeable damage due to not dealing impact damage, and increase the total reserves by 3, and this is on top of the reserve change to the high impact rocket launchers from the 7.3.5 update. Next up we have the Queen Breaker. So the Queen Breaker's damage output is outpaced by legendary linear fusion rifles, so we've increased its damage and reserve ammo to compensate. We do see frequent requests to move Queen Breaker to the energy slot, but given the number of special ammo damage options in this slot, we've opted to push it further in the heavy slot. We're working on some functionality changes to the weapon for a future update as well. They've increased the damage versus bosses, mini-bosses, champions and vehicles by 12%, and increased the reserve ammunition by 3. Next up we got the Cerberus +1, so the power from Cerberus +1's focus fire perk from the exotic catalyst was limited by always being available, so we've changed this to only being available following a kill, allowing us to increase its strength. Focus fire will now activate on special reloads following a kill and no longer reduce range or rate of fire. Next up we got Bastion. So in a world where Bastion has competition for a fusion rifle in the kinetic slot, we felt it was time to lean further into emulating Saint 14's combat style. So they've reworked Saint's Fist perk, so dealing damage with a melee increases your charge rate, damage and reload speed for a short duration. Landing a majority of pellets in a burst increases the melee damage. Next up we got Ariana's Vow. So Ariana's Vow has fallen behind other anti-barrier special weapons, and as a solo weapon has the opportunity for a subclass tie-in. So breaking a match shield or piercing a champion's barrier will cause the target to ignite. Next up, Deterministic Chaos. So Deterministic Chaos didn't have a clear niche when it shipped, so we've redesigned it to be an anti-champion and weakening powerhouse. So the weapon is now intrinsically anti-barrier. The Heavy Metal and Vexadecimal perks have had their locations and behaviour swapped. Heavy Metal now causes every 4th bullet to make its targets volatile, and Vexadecimal now causes every 16th bullet to also weaken targets. Finally, the fundamentals. So the flexibility offered by the fundamentals, that is on Borealis, Hardlight, the Dead Messenger, exotic weapons, is useful, but most of the time there's no need to switch damage type, so it's irritating having the current damage type clear on death. So the fundamentals now maintains its state across death or respawn. Well, there's loads of information there, loads of changes coming. I think a couple that really caught my eye is the Deterministic Chaos. I definitely remember getting that one and then putting it straight in my vault. Bastion looks very, very interesting. The Queen Breaker looks pretty good. Interesting to check that one out. And also the Colony as well. That one is going to be very, very good indeed. So looking forward to trying that one out in the final shape. But let me know in the comments what you think about the exotic weapon changes. Would love to hear what you think. Have they nerfed or buffed one of your favourite exotic weapons? Let me know what you think about it down there in the comments. But that is it for the exotic weapon buffs and nerfs coming with Destiny 2, the final shape. And as always, thank you so much for watching or for listening. Don't forget you can hit that subscribe button down below for even more Destiny 2 content here on Endgame Express, so you can also like the video and share the video too. That would really, really help us out here on the channel. Well, thanks again, and I'll see you real soon.